Welcome back, Positive Cupcakes. This is the Heroes of the Storm North American Regionals. I'm Anna Prosser-Robinson, welcoming you back. We've had so much fun today so far. We've done Group A. We're now in Group B. We just saw a really awesome match that included a Cho'Gall just for you. Team Blaze versus Cognitive. Team Blaze did come out on top, and now we're moving on to that next match in Group B. Let's take a look at the bracket, because I have a few things to fill you in on. First, like I said, we are in the second match, so Cognitive and Team Blaze faced off. Team Blaze did move on. They will be in the winner bracket. Now we're going to have Cloud9 versus Team Nom, and we will play the lower bracket match tonight, but congratulations, Team Blaze. Don't worry, you don't have to play anymore today, because we're going to move that match to tomorrow, just to accommodate the schedule a little bit better tonight. Now remember, tell us how you feel about the day so far, and do remember to congratulate all these players on Twitter and with social media using the hashtag HGC. I've been having a great time watching your tweets, so please keep those up. Now let's get right into this next match, because we're all looking forward to some more great heroes tonight. And the first team, I don't think I even really need to introduce them. You know them very well. It's the defending world champions, Cloud9.
Alrighty, Cloud9. We've got K1 Pro, iDream, Arthalon, King Caffeine, and the legendary Beardmaster himself, Dunk Train.
Giving a nice gentle stroke there, establishing dominance on the territory. Dunk Train, really, the Beardman himself, and the defending world champions here. Definitely a phenomenal team. We've seen these players time after time. They've been around for a very long time. Each one of these players starting playing near the alpha. Dunk Train's been along for forever, and they just shows like their success. They go 8-1. I believe they only dropped one map. I don't know the team specifically actually that they lost it to, but
I think it was actually Blaze in the finals of their event. Alrighty, well, Cloud9, we'll see what they can do.
All right, guys. Now, the challenging team here is full of fresh faces, but there are a couple reasons I think that we really should keep an eye on them. First, 2 of their members were top 4 in Heroes of the Dorm with Mad Banners back in the day. And second, I think there's a beard on this team that actually may give Dunk Train a little bit of competition. I don't know. You guys judge for yourselves. Here's Team Nom.
Well, there they are, teamed up with Kashi representing the Beardmaster himself. The Beard on the other side. Zugrug, Deadly Ice, the master himself, Wrath, and Dan.
Deadly Ice is a player that has really been carrying their team for the most part. His gray main is absolutely phenomenal. The roster is 20-8, and it showed in their play. The Deadly Ice's gray main has been phenomenal. He single-handedly has carried them, and it's just, I want to see if he's going to be able to do that in the future.
Yeah, with Leoric Murky, I'm sorry. As those common picks, they have that new logo. I really love the logo that they've got for this team. I'm calling them the Trash Pandas. I wanted to see them versus Panda Global, but here they are versus Cloud9.
Yeah.
I really love the commitment I'm seeing out of both of these teams as they take the stage. Guys, now it's time for them to commit to some heroes that they're going to play in this match. Take us into the draft, please.
Alrighty, guys. Well, we are getting ready for the draft here for the first game. We can see the map is actually going to be Towers of Doom.
Yeah, that's the first time we've actually seen that, Jake, and I'm excited. There's a lot of different strategies that you can pull out on this map, and honestly, it's probably one of the more diverse comparative to maybe that of like kind of Cursed Hollow. The only difference is that this map, it forces you to team fight, right? And that is the major difference from this map and every other map. You can't just say, you know what, we're just going to backdoor. We saw Tempo Storm, that kind of strategy, literally impossible on this map.
I mean, really, Towers of Doom changes the dynamic a lot, too, when you consider that the fact that you're drafting often for the extreme late game. Because we've seen matches where a team is just losing, you know, altar after altar after altar, and their core looks like it's so far behind. But suddenly their composition comes into fruition, and they've got that late game power, and they just start winning everything, dominating the team fights, controlling all of the mercenary camps, controlling the Headless Horseman for that damage on the core, and it comes through and they get the victory.
Absolutely, and XP is more valuable on this map debatably than on every other, and I know that seems a little bit strange, but one of the things is that if you can't win a team fight on this map, you just can't win the game. As we were talking about, that backdoor strategy is no longer an option, and it really kind of shows when it comes down to the decision making. You can give up legitimately every shrine, but if you can't win a team fight in the later half of the game, those shots really begin to snowball. The forts, if you get those, the constant pressure, the headless horseman, as you were talking about, it's one of those things where everybody, you kind of follow behind a little bit in the early game, but if you're winning that XP, you're going to make a comeback in the late game.
Yeah, fundamentally, I mean, just the rules are different. It's actually super fun. The first time I ever played this map, I just beelined to the other side of the map, and I ran to that wall. I call it the finish line, right? Yeah. Because you walk over that line, and the towers just unload and shred through your health bar.
Absolutely. And I love the map, honestly. I wonder, it's going to be interesting to see. We've seen that Cloud9 has kind of shown signs of weakness in their past a little bit when it comes to this map. Specific teams like Tempo Storm are considered a little bit lower on the skill level, have been able to take games largely with like kind of that Vikings and unorthodox strategy. So it's going to be interesting. Is Team Nom going to bring those kind of strategies to them to be able to make big plays?
Man, the beards are so handsome on these teams. We can see everyone getting ready here, just starting to get their settings rolled up for the match. Now, stylistically, Team Nom, I think we probably know the least about them. They did qualify in that last qualifier. Cloud9 is a seed 1. They advanced at the same time of Team Naventic, who, of course, went forward in that first qualifier. But Team Nom, I mean, they clutched it out last minute, making a bit of an upset in the upper bracket. A lot of teams weren't expecting that.
And I got to watch them, luckily, through the lower half there when I was casting the qualifiers, and a lot of it came down to Deadly Ice on Greymane. He single-handedly won them at least 3 games while I was casting. It was very impressive. He made I got to the point where afterwards I went out of my way to add him and compliment him. I was that impressed with his play. I'm not kidding. He did phenomenal work, and it led all the way through the winner's bracket.
If you're at home and you're training and you're trying to become a pro gamer, if you're esports enough, you could be Dreadnought might reach out to you and say, man, your play is beautiful. That has to feel awesome.
I mean, maybe. If you hold my words that highly, it probably does. But honestly, it's just, from gamer to gamer, respect, man. He does play it very well. And whether or not he's able to work with the rest of his team here to take games, maybe even a series off of the legendary Cloud9, it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, you know, they're giving that respect-a-rooney and cheese to Cloud9. These guys are the world champions. They know what they're up against. And sometimes when you're going up against a team that's, you know, considered to be a severe favorite in a situation like this, being the world champions, you can bust out crazy things. So we might see them mixing things up, going for some very unorthodox drafts. Pocket picks are not very common at the start of a tournament in round 1, but with an opponent like this, who knows?
Yeah, and one thing when it comes to a lot of how Cloud9 plays, one thing that they do struggle a little bit with historically is kind of those really strange specialist strategies. Because they do not have an actual shot caller at any point, it definitely shows, or at least a dedicated shot caller, shows that they kind of struggle with that late game decision making when dealing with that split push oriented characters, kind of like Vikings and Abathur, like we were talking about Tempo Storm playing that game. But that's not just like, well, Tempo Storm won a game, so they're weak. I can tell you, as a considered a rival for almost an entire year against these guys, one of their biggest, weakest points is starting, like, even before the promote meta, they have a very hard time dealing with split pressure.
I mean, you're saying that as a rival of theirs, but they've come out and said it themselves. They absolutely hate playing against that style. I mean, the toxic nests of Abathur can Dunk Train himself has said to me, it is the most annoying thing in the world to play against, stepping on that toxic nest after toxic nest.
It got to the point where he hates it so much that when I released a video talking about drafting, he asked me if the entire video was me actually just talking trash about how bad Abathur is. That is how much he hates that hero. So,
well, it's definitely a power pick. I mean,
and I don't. A lot of people kind of look towards Towers of Doom like he's actually a solid pick in that type of situation. Abathur, I slightly disagree. I don't think he's terrible in that situation. I do think Vikings have a lot of opportunities when it comes to this map. Whether or not Nom actually has a Vikings player, I don't know directly.
That's actually a very interesting point. I mean, we haven't seen Vikings yet in this tournament. Team Liquid does play them a bit in Europe. I mean, we don't see a lot
there's a couple of teams that kind of dabble with them.
Yeah, but he's definitely fallen off quite a bit ever since you know, teams started to figure out how to work against him. And of course, there was a bit of a rework on the hero.
Yeah. The rework definitely took a lot of effect, especially back in the day around WCA time. There was Vikings Liquid played that colossal, like all the time. They just absolutely loved it. And so, and one of the things is that hero is so complex that you can't just like, everybody wants a vast hero pool, right? When it comes to these major tournaments, but that's one of those ones that you can't just be like, you just can't freestyle. You can't be like, we haven't really played this too much. Could you just play this in this big of a tournament? Like once in a while, the veteran teams can kind of get away with that. Like you haven't seen like Zuno play this hero in a little bit while, but it'll work out. It won't be too bad. That's not one of those ones you can just fake. They need to, if they bust it out, they have better have it practiced.
It's not even just the player of that's on Vikings, but the team to call out for him to say, move Eric, right? For that command and the coordination between the entire team. But we are ready here for the draft on 2 Towers of Doom.
Absolutely, and we're going to see this right out the gates. Cloud9 and Team Nom, like we were talking with Niventic, right? Cloud9 being kind of that veteran, experienced team, they're not going to want to bust anything out too much, especially with Team Nom debatably probably being one of the least experienced teams, not only experience-wise, but at least comfortable when it comes to the drafts and everything else. But you see right out the gates, they banned Vikings to remove that style of strategy, and then they first pick Zeratul. Wow. So bold move to lock in the Zeratul there. I definitely feel like they have a composition in mind past just that one pick there. So really well done so far in the draft. And Team Nom, I'm really interested to see if they wanted that kind of Vikings, because Cloud9 saying they're not willing to risk anything, and they just banned it out right away. But Brightwing, really early prioritization of that, Jake. Brightwing just, it's a little, I feel like they've got to have something in mind. The global is obviously great on this map. I just don't know if it's first rotation worthy.
That is so very interesting. I can't think of a world in 2016 where I would have expected to see a Brightwing first pick. Obviously, Zagara great for the lane, and the global presence of Brightwing and the vision provided by Peekaboo, if you grab it, especially that bottom area where you have the double altar spawning, can be very useful, but we'll see if it pays off.
I feel like it has to be a response to just kind of the Zeratul, right? It does work well against
Peekaboo and Poly.
Not only that, the Poly, yeah, and the global works on this map, but again, I don't exactly feel like it's that priority worthy when it comes to the draft here.
Tassadar seems more flexible, right?
Yeah, definitely more flexible over here. That would be true. They do lock into Zagara as well. Falsa is going to be picked up there. Really comfortable pick there for a lot of the players there on Cloud9. So now they have the Zeratul, they have the Falstead. I wouldn't be surprised to see them pick up kind of like a Sonya, maybe a Tassadar, maybe... I mean, they can go a lot of different routes here, a solo laner of any kind. But like I said, they're going to be kind of hiding the strategies here, so I wouldn't go like too expectant. They're going to lock in the Thrall. Really good solo laner.
So yeah, they've responded to the global presence of Brightwing with Falstad. Yes. They've responded to that strong solo laner of Zagara with Thrall. I like it.
Yeah, no, definitely, and they have a very strong hero like Zeratul in their arsenal right now. So they definitely have a very dominant draft. This next phase here for Team Nom, I think, is going to be crucial on their opportunity to contest here. A big ETC ban, pretty much saying, we've seen this 3 times today. It's already come up. If you ban ETC kind of in this position, you blatantly say that you have in mind the kind of tank that you're looking to pick up here. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see Dom heavily prioritize a certain tank that they think is going to be best here when it comes to their style composition. But overall, I'm a little bit fearful on this next rotation. I think it will decide whether or not Team Nom has a composition that's going to be able to compete with Cloud9, because they have not only very strong universal heroes, they just have the Zeratul is against a lesser-known team is going to be very terrifying to deal with.
Yeah, especially, I mean, they have a variety of heroes that could be playing that. Dream is known to be one of their melee assassins, probably going to be on that Thrall. Probably K1 on Zeratul, or you think it'll be Arthlon?
That's a good question. I think Arth will be on the Thrall, probably.
Oh, wow, okay.
It might be no, they'll probably put Dream on the Thrall. That's a good question. Actually, they're in a situation where I don't know. When they run a double melee.
That's kind of the cool part about Cloud9, though. With those 3 players, they're so flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the most part, I would say K1 would be on the Falstad, whereas the melees would be played by Arthlon and iDream. Yeah. I think iDream would be on the Zeratul, and I think Arth would be on the Thrall.
Well, we do see Tassadar has been removed by Cloud9. Yeah. They do know that power, but we see Brightwing and Tassadar paired together rather frequently, and they don't want to give that an option. And of course, Tassadar is very, very useful versus Zeratul in just revealing his location as he's trying to make those big flanks happen.
Yeah, and it's a situation, too, where you see, because of the ETC ban, they're going to prioritize the tanks really heavily. I do like the ban from Tas for the soft counter to Zeratul, but what is Team Nom going to do to round out this? Is it going to be just kind of a Jaina at a weird prioritization order? Is it going to be, they have the sustained DPS, they have a healer, they're going to go with Miranda, they're going to have the Miranda-oriented composition, they have the triple dips, they don't need to lock it in. Team Nom making a smart choice in the draft, they're waiting it out.
They just have so little burst damage far.
But they can, see, the thing is Cloud9's not going to pick a DPS.
True.
So they don't need to prioritize
They need a warrior. They could, probably going to be Johanna.
I do agree with you that it's going to be a situation where they do have pretty weak DPS for the most part, but at the same time, they could follow it up with a Jaina and make it pretty well-rounded comp. A lot of it's going to come down to how well they can play it, which it's a pretty straightforward composition, just how well the Zeratul can manipulate around that from Cloud9. It just, a lot of it comes down to the comp versus what you know the team's skill level is, right? Like you just hear the name Cloud9 and you're pretty much, you look at any draft and you're like, uh-oh, it's like, and the idea of Cloud9 playing it skews how the effectiveness, because Team Nom does produce it's a pretty strong comp for the most part.
Do you think you think Jaina is the better option for them over Li Ming?
I think both of them are really viable options. I think personally,
Stitches.
I would like Jaina only because I think it's better against the Zeratul. It provides more consistent bursts. It's got a lot of easy scaling. It provides wave clear, which they struggle in. She's kind of a jack-of-all-trades hero, and I really like her there. But at the same time, Li Ming isn't going to hurt too much. So they go with Greymane instead. Even more bursts. It's going to be a little bit... it's going to be way more...
Well, we talked about late game. We talked about like the power of being able to just kind of wait for the late game.
Yeah.
And if they do manage to land that Hunter's Mark paired with the Gilnean Cocktail and Consecrated Blast, and then of course go for the throat, that target just dies immediately.
Absolutely. The only problem that I see in that type of situation is whether or not the Void Prison is going to kind of stop the oh my goodness, words are really hard. Effectiveness of that type of situation.
Dreadnought, welcome to your first 12-hour day here as a commentator. You have graduated to the next level.
Oh man.
But I love the Stitches here, though. I mean, Stitches is like, he has a great presence. VP and Stitches, like Zeratul Stitches has been a very common pairing since the dawn of time for competitive heroes. And Zagara is such a big target, right? She is a massive, massive target.
No, absolutely.
And she's probably the easiest target in the game to hook, I'd say.
I definitely agree with you. She's probably one of the easier targets to hook. And honestly, the composition that comes out from Team Nom, they're very, very heavily reliant on the fact that they get one big poke into a single target, but they don't really have that good a burst until post 10, which is strange considering the fact that they have Miranda, so they struggle with they should be good at levels 1 through 9, but we're going to be moving to the game here. We're going to have Cloud9. Dunk Train is going to be playing the Uther. Arthlon, as predicted, is going to be on the Thrall. I Dream on the Zeratul. K1 Pro on the Falset, and King Caffeine will be on that Stitches.
And their opponents, Team Nom, with Dan playing Brightwing Deadly Ice on his legendary Greymane. How could we forget? Kashi playing Muradin, Rathlin Zagara, and Zugro playing Tyrande. This is game number 1 on Towers of Doom, and let's hop right on into the action.
Yeah, there's going to be, right out the gates here, looking at the level 1 talents. Perfect Name's not going to be picked up by Greymane. In fact, it will be the Wolfheart there, so not too surprising. Actually, excuse me, that is Viciousness. So what that is going to do is be able to proc the 16 a little bit more. For those who don't know, this is an uncommon talent going to be picked up by Greymane. It reduces the cooldown of your W for every spell that is cast by 4 seconds.
I mean, it retains the cooldown of your W. It retains the cooldown of your W when you cast a spell. So you can throw out a Gilnean Cocktail, you can use a swipe. Any ability that you cast will keep that...
your W procced longer and longer, which is going to be the effectiveness of your 16. Team Nom, man, they got the fans. I don't know, not much to say other than that. Team Nom's going to walk up here. They have a really good, straightforward composition. I believe with them as well. I do think C9, it's going to be interesting to see how well they can play this out here, though, Jake. Right at the gates, outside of that, nothing really too interesting out of the two. I am a little bit fearful, but great hook coming out already.
Man, so much damage on Zugro. He does manage to back away from that, but still Caffeine just immediately putting the fear of the hook into their mind.
Absolutely, and that's going to be kind of the story of this game, but really aggressive flight from K1 Pro. The blinking from iDream, the hook to finish it off, and C9 is showing why they
King Caffeine needs to cool down.
Yeah, no, that's 2 for 2 right now, and he's going to be laying it all game onto his opponents here, so really well done on their parts. It's just the aggression from Falstad. K1 Pro actually loves to do that. You're going to see that all game. That was only one situation where he walks away from a pretty big pick, but he loves those aggressive flights. Even without a gust, he just flies extremely aggressive and tries to get a pick on his opponents there. So
somebody's going to make a montage for K1 Pro called the aggressive flight.
I wouldn't doubt it, honestly. And you see from the side of Team Nom, they're going to run a 1-1 with the 2.
No, Cloud9, just calm down.
Yeah, again, the huge harassment there. I mean, just they're going to be running a 1-1-1 with the two-man rotation or two-man gang squad. But honestly, Toronto and Murden haven't been together long enough to be effective there, and that's scary considering that's one of the strongest situations when it comes to their composition. Also, Singular Shrine going to be spawning here. Toronto also, keep in mind, going with a little bit of a different build from most of the. She goes with the Pierce there, not a common talent that we've seen today. Used to be a very, very common talent. It's going to be interesting to see, does she go with the Pierce in order to get a little bit more delay on these shrines? I definitely like to see that from her, but the rotations now not going to be shown from Cloud9. Notice how they're kind of giving up the shrine, at least for the short period of time. There they go, now making the rotation. Let's see, it all comes down to the XP soak in the upper half and the Miranda combo here.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, we do see those altars finally being contested. Zugrug channeling just about has all of it, but we do see the hammering does manage to interrupt that channel. Caffeine trying to find someone actually deadly. That's the one getting very low. The heals barely enough from Tyrande, but Zeratul blinks in and gets the kill. Is he too far forward? iDream does, in fact, end up going down, so it's a 1-for-1 trade, but Cloud9 successfully forces them off this bottom altar, and we have Falside trying to channel it. K1 Pro will be interrupted by that Sentinel.
And that's that Pierce that comes in and play there to get that delay. Brightwing did end up teleporting down, so there is going to be no global advantage to this situation. The hook's going to be really relevant here. And Vorpal Blade barely getting him out of position, but keep in mind, Nam getting that cap on the left-hand side of the shrine, making it easier to delay, but then the hook going to come in, and Kachi's going to be falling down.
Poly is huge on Dunk Train, but not enough as Dunk Train just barely sneaks on out of there.
Yeah, that W was really good on his part, confirming the kill and allowing to survive there, and now there looks like, I'm going to be hit by the Miranda combo a little bit more. Now, this is just a bloodbath, Jake, on the bottom half of the map here.
We already have 6 kills in this game. Dunk Train trying to channel this bottom altar, which is still being contested, but the Arcane Flare coming through the stun there onto Zagara. Wrath will end up falling, but Lunar Flare connecting on King Caffeine. Can Dunk finally channel this? I believe Sentinel is once again ready. Does it come out from Zugrug? Looks like it's not going to be there.
Yeah, he's going to back out here and cut their losses, but that's a rough situation to be in here. If this game already in the early half of the map that they've losing team fights when you consider the Miranda-style composition coming out from Team Nam, you usually win levels 1 through 9 with that kind of composition, and you're already kind of losing. It's going to be very scary as this game goes on because it's Zeratul and Stitch's strength, but man, Stitch's King Caffeine just coming in with great play there. Another hook, another pick, and C9 just further showing why they were the world champions.
Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the term Miranda, that's actually just Murden Tyrande, and it's such a powerful pairing because of Stormbolt and Lunar Flare with Hunter's Mark. So much lockdown with amplified damage received, and Miranda has just become a staple term here in the hero scene.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been a little bit of different variations, but Miranda was the first one to kind of come out. Diablo Tyrande, ETC Tyrande are some other ones, but she was the core, if you will, of kind of the stunlock meta that existed recently before this time. Bottom lane is going to be a little bit higher priority on this map comparative to every other one, guys, largely because those saplings you see being captured by C9 in the bottom half of the map is going to be really valuable onto the XP, but realistically here, C9 walking away with the early game win, I think is kind of going to be telling of the rest of this game. I am fearful of how well Team Nam's going to be pulling out with how good of a comp C9 has in the later half of the game.
Yeah, I believe that his last bite on Stitch is just going to give him so much additional sustain, especially since they're always near minion waves that are passing by. And it's just a very powerful talent to really allow Stitches to be one of the most tanky warriors in the entire game.
And now we are going to be moving on to another shrine, another singular shrine, and almost an entire level advantage going to be sitting in the side of sitting in favor of Cloud9 here. Saplings pushing in on the bottom half. Nobody's able to defend. Zag is going to lose the front wall there.
Yeah, that's not a big deal, actually.
No, they got the front wall, so they're going to be okay, not losing too much XP. Brightwing's trying to capitalize for that, but remember that XP we were talking about? A level behind when you have that Murden Tyrande composition on this map is scary. It's very scary, and if this pattern keeps going, I'm going to be very fearful for Team Nam and their success here.
King Caffeine just kind of cleaning up the creep whilst looking for a hook. Knows that if they step out of line, it will be there. Lunar Flare does disconnect iDream from that channel on the altar, but Caff taking so much damage, has to use the bite to stay alive, but in the backline, iDream secures a kill. K1 Pro also doing that. Deadly Ice is very low. King Caffeine going to look for that, but he doesn't even need to throw damage out as we have K1 Pro aggressively there. We saw the phase shift attempted for for Brightwing. Not able to get it in time, but iDream gets stick stealth. The Stormbolt completely whiffs, and he turns onto Kashi. So much damage as Falstad flies in, and they almost managed to turn that around.
Yeah, and they not only walk away with a lot of kills, they walk away with level 10 advantage over their opponents. 2 more shots in the core, and they're sitting in a situation where their composition maybe didn't excel as well in the early game, but they're definitely making it work here.
Oh, man.
With their organized play, Cloud9, again, just really showing why they're such a strong team here and a contender for this championship here at the North American Spring Regionals. So now a lot of it, like I said, that bottom lane more valuable because these saplings. Cloud9 with this level 10 advantage is going to be pushing as much as they possibly can. Structures aren't as valuable as maps like Sky Temple and Blackheart's Bay, but they are very valuable in the sense that they can provide shots and also rotational advantages when it comes to the shrines on this map.
Yeah. All right. Well, level 10, we can look at those talents. We do have Sundering, Putrid Bile, Void Prison, Divine Shield, and that Mighty Gust for Falstad. So much control. The disengage options, there's like a million. All of them are good aggression and defensive stylistic heroics. Oh, very close.
Yeah, no, the hook's coming in left and right, and I mean, even though he does miss that one later in the game, that might hit and lead to a very big lead. His build is going to be nothing too crazy. I wouldn't be surprised to see the fishing hook coming out at the 16 tier, where King Caffeine is really going to show why he's such a good tank player and Stitches overall. But overall, you see on the top lane, actually, Thrall getting a really aggressive flank here. Arthlon, oh, the poly coming out to save, but is the Sunder going to come out? The dog's going to hit. And that's one dead Brightwing there. Very good at murder, but she is going to fall down here. King Caffeine dodging the hook. And, I mean, Cloud9, wow, man, just showing why they're such a good team. They're very, very far ahead at this point. But this is going to be a 4 versus 2, maybe overextending a little bit.
King Caffeine has no fear. Going in with Putrid Bile, trying to lock down Kashi. Of course, Murden could Dwarf Toss away. And we do have Thrall and Zeratul coming from above. Falstad also flying in. Every member of Cloud9 is now present, but lurking in the shadows.
Absolutely, and the Pierce coming out might be a delay point here at some point, but you see K1 Pro is going to be capping on mid because he has the global. They're going to delay on the bottom half and then try and have him fly down and answer. Brightwing's not delaying that global.
Yeah, and an early Shadowstalk used there from Tirana. We do see Wrath took a big chunk of damage. Thrall having to back away with Wind Fury, using that defensively, but he still has that big Sundering available. Gust putting them in the corner. They might look for a big lockdown. Here comes the Sundering just connecting onto Zagara alone, but they forced him in a weird spot, and the Maw connects on no one. Wrath getting chunked by the double melee. Divine Shield keeping Zeratul alive. It's a 2-for-0 as Brightwing goes down, but they do manage to get iDream on Zeratul. Deadly Ice is next to fall. Kashi a bit by himself, and King Caffeine, does he have that hook available? He's looking for it, and it does connect. 4 for 1 for Cloud9.
Absolutely, really well done on their part, and big shout out to Dunk Train there. That D shield right as he decides to blink back in to confirm a couple of kills, keeping Zeratul a little bit alive, a little bit longer to ensure a couple more kills there. So really good healing coming out from him, and Falstad again, K1 Pro playing the bird almost perfectly there, getting those really aggressive gusts that we were kind of talking about. And I think you can expect this almost all game. They love that kind of aggressive style gusting, and K1 Pro is a player who really knows how to master that hero, and really has, and she'll be showing that all day and why he is so good here. C9 backing out, getting the saplings, pressuring the map, painting it blue. When you get this big of a lead over your opponents, it's very much your kind of game to lose at that point, just not taking any too big of risk at any point. So we'll see if they decide to do that here, but a little bit of a skirmish there for the flying globals up in the upper half.
I mean, it's really just K1 Pro bullying, controlling that top lane with Brightwing there, forcing him back, saying, look, this is my lane, get away from me. I have a 3-level lead. The amount of damage I do compared to you is so much higher.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be moving, trying to force something before they hit 13. I wouldn't be surprised if they look for a fort before their opponents hit 13 or a team fight, but it's going to come a lot down to the Stitches hooks for the most part. Stitches, Zeratul is a really terrifying group, and even if this game does kind of balance out a little bit, all it's going to take is one hook, and it might be a game changer here. The rotations up to the upper half of the map, Team Nom trying to make something happen, but deciding to play a little bit more passive. They had the aggressive early game, and even now in the mid game where they have a chance, their comp only falls farther and farther behind on the scaling, minus the Gray Mane. I guess the Gara does do a little bit damage, but between the Murd and Tyrande combo, that's almost ineffective. And I feel like between Falstad, Uther, and Zeratul, their comp just kind of doesn't do too well in the later half of the game. So I'd like to see them try and capitalize here. 13 into 16 or 15 is going to be a good fight.
Shrink Ray has been used. We see the body blocks, and Dream is just playing with his food right now, waiting for Brightwing to get in because they could try to secure 2 kills, but Wrath has no way to get out of this, even uses Maw. devastating kill, and now it's going to be Deadly Ice, the next one to fall as well. Stormbolt misses, the Sundering goes out, the Zeratul blinks in, gets the kill, Wormhole's back, and even Kashi has to Dwarf Toss away.
Absolutely, and really good play there, blinking over the wall to ensure that kill from iDream. And 2 people down, there's not going to be very much contention over the map objective here. They're going to start by taking their opponent's most comfortable shrine here first, Dunk Train capturing it right here. Then they're going to back out, move to the other side of the map, secure their own, and then now you see they're in a situation where it's 16 shots left on the core for the side of Team Nom, and just 40 for
and they're
C9.
getting sappers with Zeratul during all of this. I mean, that's just how far ahead Cloud9 is. 3 level advantage, a talent tier advantage. We now have Fishing Hook. Let's confirm it is Fishing Hook because it does have the same icon as Shish Kebab.
It is going to be a Fishing Hook there.
And while we do see Brightwing gets picked off once again.
Yeah, it's just a situation where they have such a big lead. Honestly, at this point, they're just going to be rotating around the map, dominating everything is really what it is.
So what could Team Nom do in a situation like this? How do they turn this around?
I think they missed their point at 13 into 15. I think that was the best chance, or 12 into 15, because the power spikes in this game, right, they happen at different orders, right? So not every talent tier is equal,
correct,
if you will, right? So, for instance, 13 is probably, for most heroes, one of the least valuable exceptions to that being like old Kel'Thas. Comparative to level 10, most influential, and then 20 most likely after that, and then 16. So waiting for that 16 spike means that now, yes, you are behind, but guess what? That isn't going to change. You're playing Cloud9. Not only that, you're playing Cloud9 when you're already behind. Like, you have to make something happen. You can't just keep doing what you're doing. Again, kind of that insanity we were talking about a little bit earlier there. They do get scouted out here when it comes to this boss, but I don't think it's going to matter. The cleave, though, getting a lot of damage here onto the front, too, and nobody's going to be able to take. Arth now moving in, but it doesn't matter.
Oh my goodness, like, as a skull starts flying around, it's actually very dangerous. The Headless Horseman does more damage than any of the other boss in the game.
Absolutely, and the cleave is really hard to deal with. But as I was saying, when you were asking what can you do if you're Team Nom, is take the fight. Like, for instance, right now, right, they're finally going to hit that 16 spike, and their opponents are going to hit 18, moving on to 19, closely honing in on that 20. You have to take that fight before they hit 20. The minute you get 16, you need to do everything you can to try and take that fight. At this point, honestly, you're so far behind, I don't know if it's even going to work out for you even if you win, but seriously, you just can't keep doing what you're doing because, again, there's a reason you're in this position. There's a reason you're 3 levels down.
True.
Look at that Fog of War abuse right there from King Caffeine. Really well done there. And the Sapling's closing in on top, won't secure it here, but here it comes down. They aren't 16 talent tier yet. Brightwing's going to be soaking it. It's crucial. King Caffeine forcing before they hit 16. Really well done.
Big Putrid Battle Hunter's Mark was used early. The VP in the back, and Stitch is actually keeping them away from getting to that.
Gust.
Just a single maul there onto Uther, and the Gust into the top corner. If we can see they're tearing through them, but a big Lunar Flare does connect on 2 targets. Divine Shield has to be used, and the max range hook onto Zugrug. That's good night for Tyrande. Even Kashi might not make it out of here as Arthlon is going forward. We actually see the blink in from Zeratul, the turnaround for Deadly Ice, but he will even fall. 4 heroes down, almost level 19 for Cloud9.
It's a situation they're going to back out. They're going to take this fort. They're going to rotate around, get as many saplings as possible, paint it blue, get as many of the forts as they possibly can. Dunk Train barely surviving there. You can hear him getting a little bit like, whoa, maybe a little closer than I thought. Don't have redemption. That was sketchy, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Falstad rotating up around the map. Yeah, trying to ensure that they get as many structures as possible. He's now securing the top fort. So bottom fort has been obtained for Cloud9. Top fort will be obtained by Cloud9 soon. It's a little bit slower than I'd like, but those are going to, saplings provide shots on bottom, right? So you're going to see Nom overreact to defend those. So that's awesome, but then you're going to see Cloud9 say, okay, well, if you're going to get bottom fort and divide those saplings, we're just going to take mid, get 20, and then what are you going to do? You have, it's such a rough situation. Honestly, I'd rather see Nom just give up those shots and try and take a fight, because the minute their opponents hit 20, they essentially can't take a team
With
fight.
this bell tower going down, I mean, that's Cloud9 basically having level 20. Yes, the bottom bell tower has been reclaimed by Team Nom, but Cloud9 just about has top, and well, regardless, they only need 2 more altars, and there are exactly 2 altars spawning right now.
Absolutely. And
oh my goodness, iDream. Going back in, Divine Shield has been used on him. Zugrug actually getting caught out of position. Going to be locked between Arthlon and King Caffeine. There is no escape from that. but they do actually force Arthlon back. Not enough. Blink kill going forward. The VP on just a single target, and Kashi trying to peel for his team, but Dwarf tossing the safety. The Ghost, even with the continuous wins, locking them out as Arthlon channels the altar. They can back up, safely grab one more altar, and this should be game.
Yeah, it will be most likely GG. They don't have any zoning tools here. It will be a 4 versus 5, though. They're going to do their best. Arthlon's capping right now.
Yeah, they're just throwing, they're just buying time. A two-man maw is nice, but too little too late. Cloud9 with a dominant game number 1.
Yeah, and kind of get a little bit more onto what you were asking when it comes to like how do you come back from that game, because I think that's a question a lot of players kind of ask when they sit in those situations, and like especially on the competitive side, there is ways to come back from it. The most important thing is, like, if I was to ask you, when did Team Nom really take a team fight on their opponents like the even footing? The answer is like almost never, and that's really that is the first step. Is you have to try and force that fight, even though it's gonna suck. You have to. And so this is the very start of it, that you see Nom struggling to be able to capture the Shrine, even though they do have the early game composition. Good rust done there from Zugrug to confirm the kill, Jake, but it's just not going to be enough. Look at this is still the same battle. That first fight.
This game was just, it was
bloodbath.
Hook City 2016 / King Caffeine.
Yeah.
The hook there on Dan. I mean, Dan was just a Brightwing snack left and right for this team, just looking for him. That Slendering just on a single target still bought them the time and space they needed, and the maw whiffing like that really costs Team Nom quite a bit. Several heroes going down. I believe just Dream falls on the side of Cloud9 in this fight. Yeah, like 4 for 1 for them. And once they hit that 2-level lead, it just seemed like there was nothing except for those small windows that you mentioned.
Yeah, but I mean, that's welcome to Heroes of the Storm. Those small windows are where you have to capitalize, and we've seen teams do that all day. Like here, that was one where they had an opportunity, but they didn't wait till 16, and it's a little bit too late there. The beautiful Gus on the side of K1 Pro. That was all day too. Honestly, he went from a situation where it's like, yes, you are struggling to get a couple of kills, to where he was just like, actually, instead of 1 kill, we're gonna take like half your team. So really well done on his part playing the bird there. To show you guys how strong the level 20 advantage is, this was a 4 versus 5, and Cloud9 walks away with a pick from the hook in that type of situation and getting a kill. They won that fight 4 versus 5. That wasn't, not only are they skilled players, but honestly, a lot of it came down to just when you were asking how powerful the Talatils are, like that 20 tier advantage is huge.
And the stats on top of it. So, well, Cloud9, the world champions, defending their title. Dunk Train defending the honor as the Beard Master here in North America. But it's not over yet. Game number 2 is going to be on Sky Temple in this best of 3 series in the round 1. And remember, this is the upper bracket. So no matter what, if you drop here, you still have another chance in this tournament.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of opportunity to make something happen here, and I don't think Team Nom should necessarily like give up. I think they actually have an opportunity to come in here. I just think what they need to really be looking at is what is our comp good at, what is our opponent's comp good at, and trying to maximize whatever they do, whatever they're very good at, right? And I feel like last game, for instance, we saw they have the Miranda comp, but they just never went really hard like in the early game. That's what that comp does, right?
Yeah.
Like keep in mind necessarily the Gray May maybe didn't accent that as well as I'd like to see, and maybe a couple of draft priority differences in my opinion, but overall, like, they didn't even try and push what their comp was really good at, and I think if they managed to make a couple of tweaks there, they might have a chance here.
Well, we'll have to see what kind of adjustments they can make for Sky Temple. This is another map where we could see Brightwing played, prioritized. We saw that first pick Brightwing.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel that, you know, having a major impact on that game necessarily, but of course, if that's a comfort pick for your team, Brightwing is a solid hero, especially on these larger battlegrounds.
Absolutely. I mean, she's really influential. Globals on this map are going to be a really big deal. Falstad going to be banned out. Speaking of the globals, Falstad's going to be banned out from K1 Pro. I guess they don't want a wind of that anymore, if you know what I mean. But they are going to be trying to figure it out. Xerath is going to be banned out.
Respect for Deadly Ice.
You think?
Yeah.
I think maybe you might be right. I can tell you as an ex-competitor, if I talked about this with Naventic too, with the kind of bans, and like if you feel like you're better than your opponents, rather than risking those heroes who are extremely influential, they just all they're gonna do is say, well, okay, well, the only way we think you can win is a huge Void Prison. I'm just gonna get rid of it. They aren't even gonna meta pick. They're just gonna take away the huge things like Vikings last game.
Yeah. So NA teams, note the front runners, Cloud9 and Naventic, both picking Sonya. The only two teams that have played her in this tournament. iDream busted that hero at BlizzCon, and that's one of the things that helped Cloud9 clutch out their victory versus Everyone, really.
Yeah, pretty much everybody at that point. But no, I agree with you heavily there. That's a pick that I have been trying to harp on NA for a long period of time, but apparently everybody thinks that Thrall is the one true melee.
Well, they do have the Orc Boys.
I mean, yeah, the Orc Boys are definitely going to help them there, and Jane is going to be a nice little accent to the rest of their composition. The Mage going to be picked up. Li Ming on the side of Cloud9 is going to be interesting to see what kind of build they end up going with here. I want to know. I don't know how how Cloud9 is going to round out this comp. I think maybe kind of Tassadar style play. They might not. He's just been a hot topic for a lot of kind of the teams that aren't expected to, I guess, pull it to the upper one. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they pair that with like the melee assassins from the teams that are considered the expected winners, the not so much underdogs.
Right. Well, Cho'Gall, Cloud9 banned him out just about immediately, not wanting to put the risk of that Cho'Gall with Rhaegar. We've seen the power of that throughout the tournament today. So that is not an option, but Team Nam, they're really considering what they want to ban. Do they want to take Uther away from Dunk Train? That's probably one of his most played supports of all time.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna pick Medic then.
Okay.
They love Sonya Medic. They're gonna stim drone the Medic and just really hurt them. I wouldn't be surprised if they wait on it though, because the Rhaegar pick's gonna be up there. So what are they gonna prioritize on tanks? They have the Sonya. Honestly, they can go anywhere from this point. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, they're gonna go with the Murden. I think I would have gone maybe an ETC there. They're gonna go with the Murden. I want to know what their soft DPS is here, unless they're gonna hide it. I don't think they will. I think they'll wait for the Medic. Honestly, I think they're gonna lock in their dips.
Yeah, I mean, there's very little chance that Team Nam would run Medic with Rhaegar. I've seen other things, but you never know. This next pick for Cloud9, I mean,
Zach?
what's available? Kael'thas hasn't played at all today. I don't think it'll happen. You said Zagara. It's very honest.
She's made it really deep in the draft when you think about
rare.
it. I didn't even, like, off the top of my head, I didn't even think about it. Like, she's made it very, very deep in this draft.
What about Tyrande?
I personally, Miranda will always be effective. She always, it just feel like the tongue
the
cam
beard.
there. Or the beard cam there. Oh man, but I feel like it's always going to be a decent option and something they can go to. I would pull away from it, but with Li Ming and Sonya, it works really well. It does provide a mule option if that's what you really want to go with. Uncommon, but they do go with Tass instead. A good pairing there. Mule option on him as well.
All right, Tassadar, very cool.
Let's go see how kind of how
this could be Tass Tyrande in the end, huh?
It could be. Yeah, they do a really good pairing. Personally, maybe, honestly, I don't see Medic and Tassadar being put together, but possibly. You might be right there. It's going to be interesting.
All right, well, Team Nam, 2 more picks. They need a Warrior. ETC still on the table. Seems like a no-brainer to me, especially with the power of Sundering. But they go for Johanna. Now, that's also a very common thing, especially when you do have Sundering. You split up the team, you throw out the Bless Shield on 3 targets on half the fight, and you drop that Blizzard from Jaina, and it just gives your team a very strong initiation.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's going to come down to also because they don't want the ETC out of fear of like the Murden being able to delay or the Sonya. I think it was kind of their go-to. Like essentially, Johanna doesn't have any extra value on this map because the rotations aren't nearly as relevant as some of the other ones. So I feel like that was just kind of like, we don't feel like we can get a lot of mosh, and I guess they have no interest into the stage dive. Keep in mind, not many teams do.
Yeah.
But rounding out the remainder of their composition, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Zag. Okay, or a Lunara. It makes a little bit of sense there, a large amount of poke there. I feel like Team Nam is building a little bit earlier of an early game here than they did the last game. Or excuse me, a little bit better scaling throughout the entire game than they did last game, and I definitely like that.
All right, well, the final pick here on Cloud9, it could be Tyrande, it could be Brightwing, it could be, oh, you're calling this solo task.
Hit me with it. It's a really common thing in other regions, and I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it out. I don't think it's like a must-have by any means, but Cloud9, like I said, they're at the point where they're pretty darn confident in their play and at all fronts, and they're trying to just deny anything that they might consider cheese. Okay, they're going to go with the Brightwing instead.
Yeah, so sometimes you see Arthalon on Brightwing. Sometimes you see, it could be Dunk Train on Brightwing as well, of course, but Arthalon would be the flex on that second support.
I think you'll see Arth will be playing on the Brightwing.
K1 on Li Ming.
K1 is going to be on the Li Ming. Tass will be played by Dunk. Or, I don't know, K1 used to all in on Tassadar. He used to be a very, that was back in the art.
Is legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, no, did you say K1 or Dream?
K1.
Okay,
Dream Sonya is really good, but also like just back in the day, when Tassadar was more of that Archon, just like blow everything up, he just
that was
went
a different hero.
It was a different hero, but K1 went very heavily with it there. So, gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. I think a lot of it is gonna come down to the decision making made around the Li Ming and Sonya. I love the Sonya pickup. I feel like After day one here, I want to see a lot of the other teams be able to prioritize it, not just because like, well, it's like, oh, well, we saw that C9 and the Ventic, or picked it. Sorry about that.
I love your nerd voice,
yeah,
man.
that was my nerd voice. But they end up picking it. Every part of the world says Sonya is relevant except certain teams in NA, and so it's going to be interesting to see if they pick up on it here. But Dunk Train's going to be on that Tassadar. Arthalon will be on the Brightwing. Sonya will be iDream. Then we're going to have K1 Pro will be on that Li Ming. King Caffeine will be playing the Murden.
And Team Nam will have Dan playing as Rhaegar, his orc brother. Deadly Ice is Thrall. Kashi on Johanna. Wrath going to be playing Jaina. And Zugrug rounding up the team as Lunara. This is game number 2 on Sky Temple. And let's get right on into it.
Here we go in the level 1s here. Well, who gets it? I definitely going to put it probably in favor here of Cloud9 as long as they don't overextend a little bit too much. They have a lot of really good damage here, especially if they end up walking around. Getting one reset, they could be absolutely terrifying. Outside of that here, any major awesome things when it comes to the play. Cloud9's the only team with the opportunity to get a mule. The Global also is going to sit in their favor, and Sonya Tassadar being a great pairing together here, along with the Li Ming to ensure the fact that she might be able to get a reset. Late game, Lunara is going to have a huge spike in power, though, Jake, and it's something C9 is going to have to be able to deal with. The question is, will Team Nam be able to make it to that point on even footing?
Alrighty, yeah. Well, we see the Wisp is going to go try to find one of those Cloud9 members. Will be eliminated by King Caffeine, so they know Murden has his presence there. Of course, when you know the Watchtower is also under control, it's a bit of a risky area to invade. So we should just see them splitting up. Arthalon going to be controlling that bottom lane, which is quite far from the rest of the map. A little bit secluded, and having the global presence is rather nice. You think Brightwing can hold her own against Thrall? We talked about Brightwing versus Zagara earlier today, but how does this lane go? I mean, obviously, Thrall is going to bully her pretty hard, right?
Yeah, it's one of those situations, again, where it's like Brightwing doesn't necessarily win or lose the lane. She just kind of exists in it, much like a Tassadar kind of would, but with less wave clear. So I don't think you can expect her to be establishing dominance over that Thrall anytime soon here. But the trio up in the upper half of the map here, getting a little bit of skirmish there. Cloud9 trying to make something happen. King Caffeine is just going to leap away there. Dunk Train get a little bit low, but he's going to pop that E to dodge that blizzard damage, and nobody's going to be going down today. And both these teams kind of going toe-to-toe here, but nobody getting a huge lead. Li Ming is ended up going at level 1 here. A little bit of, confirming the kill there on the Rhaegar. Really well done from Cloud9.
All right, well, we see K1 Pro taking a good chunk of damage there from Zugrug on Lunara. And the first temples have spawned. As always, the temples here are always mid and top for the first spawn. And we have iDream immediately controlling the middle lane while the top is being fought over.
Yeah, so this is one of the situations where the global is going to be on the bottom half of the map. So the amount of shots that Cloud9 can get while the global is sitting on the lower half of the map is huge.
Wow.
They are going to commit right out the gate. So they're going to commit to these shots here. Once they get these shots, you will see them make an aggressive rotation up to the upper half of the map most likely, or send the global to respond to Thrall. Thrall now making the rotation here, but half the shots already gone. You can expect a rotation from Cloud9 soon.
So we already saw the power of the magic missiles out of K1 Pro just chunking down through Lunara's health bar just a moment ago. So something they have to be conscious of throughout this time, but they're starting to get their presence onto that as Brightwing is lone controlling the middle temple and can phase shift in at any moment. Those shots just about to go off. The final shots have been collected, and the phase shift comes in. Immediately we see the Condemn Arthalon backing away as he takes good bit of damage, and iDream going for it, securing the kill on Rhaegar. But with this damage output coming in, the Condemn going to secure that as well. So even trade so far.
Yeah, and the shots are going to be still at 75% when it comes to the Shrine, but the health bars are going to be much bigger on the side of Team Nam. They're going to tap well. C9 is going to be moving back in. Keep in mind, they do have the double healer, so these long fights is really a big advantage for them when it comes to this map. Double healer used to be the meta for this map, actually, just because these long Shrine fights are really hard to deal with.
That was a different era,
yeah,
man.
But the lack of global existing on the side of Team Nam is really kind of showing, and they aren't going to be able to get an XP lead, so now we see that Arthalon polymorphing on the Shrine there. They're going to be almost a half a level lead over their opponents already, and we're not even close to level 10.
Not even remotely close, but it looks like the final shots there for Team Nam will actually be collected on this temple, and that is a small victory for them. It's 1-2 in terms of the kill, so they're not very far behind. Structurally, they're not going to get this last tower, but they're very close, so they can look to poke that down, and that will more or less even out the experience, but there will be level 7 first for Cloud9, guaranteed.
Yeah, and we're in a situation where Sonya made a really early rotation in the bottom half of the map. They aren't losing out on XP. And again, it's going to come down to that dance, right? We know the Shrine's going to spawn on the bottom half of the map. Who's going to take the map objective? What order? What timing? Who's going to get a little bit of the upper hand here? We see Nam already starting the Giants down there, meaning that they're going to be trying to prioritize the Knights, but they cap that so early that they aren't going to get too much out of these Giants here. Now C9 getting the response, going to be taking out theirs, and a little bit of the dance here is all we're going to see, Jake.
I like this hybrid Li Ming build. I think this is the first time I've actually seen this full build so far. And we also have Static Charge picked up there for Tassadar. So more or less, you know, just middle of the road for Tassadar. Wants to get the upgrade for Oracle, get the mana retention. Brightwing has the shield, but doesn't need Peekaboo due to Oracle there. So there's a lot of synergy between those two supports on the side of Cloud9. And very cool style just in general.
Absolutely, and now a lot of it's going to come down to, you see, iDream's going to be taking those night camps now, and Nam also securing the night camps. So here's the problem with capping those night camps when you're on the side of Team Nam is Brightwing is most likely going to be rotating to the upper half of the map and pressuring out that clear wherever possible.
Bottom lane, Thrall goes down. He actually gets dropped out into the sky. Goodbye.
That is huge, largely because it's providing a front wall on the side of Cloud9. So not only do they have a level read on the race to 10, they have the global, which is most likely going to come into a heavy amount of play when you consider the night camp going to be pushing and timed with the map objective. But then they're also going to have the global coming out from Arthalon there to be able to help provide more XP when it comes to the next shrine. So Team Nam already falling quite a bit behind here. Yeah. And so again, we kind of see the same tale that we saw last game, Jake. So let's point out some of the points where they can actually make the comeback. Step one, right now, do not contest the shrine. There's no way they're going to win the race to 10. Ignore it, push somewhere else on the map. There's no way they can be able to deal with it. Here we go. Team Nam is rotating and making those
You think that's the key thing? Like Brightwing secluded?
If you can get a pick, take it. But honestly, there's no way you're contesting the shrines. Let's be honest. You aren't that close to 10. So you see them rotating. Look, they might get a pick on Arth here. Even if they don't walk away with the kill, they're going to get in a situation where they gain something more than they would have there. The juke coming out from Arth, though.
Level 10 got picked off. The blink kill not going to be enough. We do see Jaina was very low in that scenario, but Cloud9 is capitalizing regardless. They have level 10. They took out a fort. They pushed in. They're controlling the bottom temple, and there's even that one mercenary being a boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, his friend's coming in. Too late.
And this is a situation where Team Nam did end up getting that one pick on top. They did make a little bit of a minor play in a situation where they definitely had nothing to do on the bottom half of the map. A little bit of siege I would have liked to see more out of them, but all right, so now they are going to capitalize on 10. And 10, before they hit the 13 tier, is absolutely crucial for them to concentrate on getting these fights. They need to be able to make these plays. You see, they're rotating around the map, trying to establish dominance. Murden's not there. This could be a 4 vs 5 fight. I want to see them force it. Keep in mind, they do see that flank because they have that sight.
Okay, well, Kashi, like you said, does take control of this watchtower, and they're starting to throw a lot of damage at iDream, who's just cautiously backing away, getting the shield there from Tassadar and looking for a re-engage. Ancient Spear is there. A lot of damage output. We do see the Ancestral will be sufficient to top him off.
Busted Shield was missed in that time. Keep that in mind. He ended up not hitting anybody there, so their team fighting is going to be far weaker. Keep in mind also, a Playmaker was picked up on the side of Haymaker, and so they are going to be in a situation to where they have a little bit less of a common draft, I guess, when it comes to the Haymaker movement there.
Yeah.
But it is a really powerful tool with the nerf to Avatar.
You know, I've actually been talking to King Caffeine a lot about this, and he's just saying how strong it is just in general. He loves the pick. He's been playing a ton of Haymaker just in general. So it's something that we could really look to see a lot more of in the future.
No, I definitely think so. I mean, actually, that's something that Soldier from Tempo Storm has loved for like legitimately over a year. It felt like it was the only way to play him. So I can definitely understand that coming out from some of those top competitors here. They are looking to force their advantage. Honestly, we need to see whether or not Team Nam can try and capitalize before their opponents hit 13.
All right, well, you're not going to try to throw the Haymaker onto Johanna just because Iron Skin is too good at denying that. But they do secure that top fort. All 3 forts on the side of Team Nam have been eliminated already before 8 minutes, Dreadnought.
Yeah, and it's a situation where we saw this exact same thing when it came to Cognitive on this map, right? It's just every Shrine trade is going to be more and more value on the side of Cloud9, even if they don't have the XP advantage. Now, their opponents are talent tier up. They're going to contest. Playmaker coming out to remove him there.
Oh, no. Just using it because he can. It's a 40-second cooldown, very similar to Mighty Gust in the control it has, but it's on a single target.
Yeah, and now Cloud9 has a really big advantage on all fronts. They are going to be trying to get that bottom shrine here, getting the shots as soon as possible. Arthalon moving to the upper half of the map, trying to abuse that global. He will get those shots until they see the force answer from Team Nam. When they choose one side, he will decide to teleport and help out his opponents elsewhere here, or his allies, excuse me. And again, Cloud9 just in a really dominant situation. They don't have the 13 tier. If they are going to take, oh my goodness,
forcing out that ancestral kill, huge damage from K1 Pro, and he's going to full-on teleport build to boot. And we have Illusionist picked up Water Ellie cast rather early in this fight onto iDream, but he's not concerned about it, just slamming it into the ground. The Blizzard peeling very nicely here in the bottom, and actually the Stormbolt does not connect from King Caffeine, but Kashi gets caught by the Ancient Spear of the Dwarf Toss in from King Caffeine. That will be a secured playmaker in the backline, forcing Kashi way back, but they're not done yet. Deadly Ice goes down. They're going for Dan. We should see Mert. Yes, Johanna did fall as well, so a 2-for-0 here for Cloud9.
Yeah, and they're going to back out, trying to make sure that they capitalize on everything. Actually, they're going to look for the fort or keep.
It's a little risky.
Yeah, that definitely is a little bit risky, but they're trying to make something happen here. They're going to back out and just get his shots on bottom. So now keep in mind, because nobody's contested really those shots on top, they're going to even back. They're going to take all the time in the world. They are very confident in their play here, allowing their opponents to catch up to the 13-tier advantage. I mean, understandably, considering being the world champion defender here, Arthalon now staying on bottom to abuse his global, knowing that the shrines are going to be contested on top because the shots are a lot shorter on the bottom half than they are on the top. So great play, abusing the global as best they can. And keep in mind, Team Nam's still not 13-tier.
Got to talk about Shield Dust and the power of that onto some of these heroes against Lunar and Jaina, but the phase shift is successful, and Deadly Ice very low does end up dying to the Stormbolt. iDream in the back low himself, but the Blink heals topping everyone off, and the Poly on Zugrug not enough to slow him down, and we do see Dan does have that totem help him heal, but we do see that Johanna ended up falling.
Yeah, and Cloud9's going to back out, confirming those shots. So they do have 16-tier advantage. Ancestral barely getting off there, and they are in a situation where, again, they have that 16-tier advantage. They're capturing the Knights. They're pressuring the upper half of the map, and now they're going to try and probably siege up. Honestly, that we've hit that talent tier spike. That is when it becomes really, really hard to team fight into. It's 16, but Murda getting really aggressive. I think he was looking to try and make a haymaker play with the solo 13 talent. I do believe he picked it up to get that bonus damage. The isolation would be huge from him.
Well, a 3-level lead here for Cloud9. Mirror Ball on Li Ming makes her an absolute monster. And everyone else just got a lot more sustain. Is that greater polymorph we're seeing, or is it Critterize?
For Brightwing, we are going to see that he goes Critterize here, so there will be a bonus amount of damage coming out from him. But now, let's talk about a little bit about the shrines, like negating the fact that they're going to be having to force a team fight 16 with a 3-level disadvantage. Boss might be something that comes into play here. Just looking at every single shrine past this point, Cloud9 is threatening keeps on every lane except for mid. But Arthalon getting caught out a little bit there. Yeah, that was definitely a really big deal on their part. But the shrines most likely aren't going to spawn directly during that time. And Brightwing has a global, so take away the travel time from the base to the map objective as well. A little bit of an XP advantage, yes, but realistically, are they gaining that much? Not really. They need to be forcing a fight here in this 5 vs 4.
So they need to look for the fight, but they're down 3 levels. It's going to be hard enough to do that. We see Cloud9 is postured around the boss, and King Caffeine just waiting for them to step through that bush. Force Wall plays brilliantly to deny any kind of further approach in, and we see iDream is not at all worried about their approach.
Yeah, Cloud9 is experienced enough to know that they legitimately have to worry about nothing. All they have to do is not fight, and then they'll be fine here. They do end up starting the boss. I want to say that this is a risky call. They definitely have a big enough advantage to be able to get away with it. In my head, though, this is one of the only ways that they can actually lose. They bait it and instantly get the turn.
All right, watch for the Force Wall. There it is, the playmaker onto Dan in the back, and so much damage coming out, but the Sundering buys some time for the Ancestral to go off. Suddenly, iDream is getting incredibly low here. Will be the first one to fall in this fight, and it's Team Nam on the aggression. We see both Brightwing and Sonya have gone down, and suddenly Team Nam is back into it. Mirror Ball not going to be enough, as only 1 of 5 missiles do connect, and K1 Pro throwing everything he has, shred through one hero, but he's going to go down in his own.
That's the second time we've seen that play on this map, where the team has such a big lead and don't need to risk anything, end up starting a boss there, making a play around it, and essentially risking giving up a lead. Keep in mind, this will not end the game like it did in the last one, where we had Cognitive and Team Blaze going head-to-head.
Right.
It will just instead lead to a little bit of shots, and definitely an XP kind of comeback on the side of Team Nam. Zugra is going to be contesting these shots in the middle lane. Tassadar is going to be capturing those on bottom lane for Dunk Train, though. They do secure the keep with those shots, and nobody contesting that bottom half of the map there, essentially giving Cloud9 free shots.
Okay, well, level 16 talents are quite massive here. Is that numbing or is it northern exposure at level 16 on Jaina? There's some of the icons, I don't remember the colors they've changed. Yeah, okay, northern exposure there. So the phase shift in onto Dunk Train. They're going to really try to contest Johanna, but she's a hard target to blow up, even in 2v1. You notice Kashi is just kind of hanging out, waiting for that Lunara to make her approach.
But they keep in mind, King Caffeine from behind. She's now realizing that was a risky situation, and she is now going to be losing her life here with the poly, the force wall, and everything else.
And Kashi just staying a little bit too long there.
Yeah, and it's a situation where, oh wow, big damage coming into iDream there. They do not have two people up, though. They need to be disengaging as best as possible.
Ancestral Heal has been used, so that's going to be on cooldown for a solid 80 seconds right there for Rhaegar.
Expect Cloud9 to capitalize and at least finish off the mid-keep during this time. They have a 20-second advantage. They're actually not even going to look to do it. They're going to back out, take the boss instead. They might be looking for lethal with this boss. If they do not look for lethal, then essentially this boss is just going to buy time so they can confirm mid-keep. It's one of those situations where you can contest on mid-keep, or you could just take the boss and do it for free later on. But ultimately, again, it's kind of their game to lose, walk away, try and get the XP raised to 20, and take another big talent tier fight advantage over your opponent.
All right, well, there is the boss pickup that you mentioned. Do they go for the escort, or do they simply pressure the mid-keep, which is already so very vulnerable? They're getting in position for that, actually popping just about everything there. Is K1 Pro on Li Ming, just trying to apply a bit of light pressure. Yeah, and they do stagger the Giants, notice, behind the boss on that bottom lane to ensure that they get as much siege damage out as possible. But look at, they're posturing to end the game here with this play. They aren't going to have 20-tier advantage. This is the last chance here. Even if they win this fight, it's going to be rough to win in the game, but this is the last chance for Team Nam to try and make a comeback here. Okay, the boss has made it to the core. Like you said, level 20 still not here, but Cloud9 is just focusing on that core. A big Sundering going out with a condemned follow-up, and Dunk Train gets very low with the prescience to get him on out of there. Boss will end up falling here early. Dream backing on away, and the Ancestral barely popping on Kashi. A good follow as they're going on in. K1 Pro blinking, trying to get the safety, and we do see the shields are sufficient in keeping him up, but iDream is a little bit overextended. Gets pulled in by the condemned. Force wall is nice, and Kashi will be the first one to go down. Excuse me, after Thrall. So 2 down. Ice block used. Desperation here. King Caffeine diving in, has that playmaker. It's going to be GG. That was enough to confirm it right there. That last kill is all they need. The Giants are going to be pressuring. Sonya is going to have a large amount of damage on the core here, Jake, and that's going to be it. Cloud9's going to walk away 2-0 here over Team Nam. And just like that, Cloud9 taking about a 30-minute series over their opponent's Team Nam, showing that the world champions still have what it takes to be the absolute best, advancing to the upper bracket finals here in Group B. No, they played it very, very well. And the abuse of the global at a lot of points is really why they kind of got that lead. I do think they got a little bit overconfident there at times, but honestly, it wasn't so much so that obviously they were risking the game like we might have seen in other series here earlier today, Jake. So really well done on Cloud9's part and really good showing. Honestly, I feel like Team Nam did do well at certain points. I didn't feel like they kind of capitalized on the few moments when they did fall behind. But against a veteran team like C9, I mean, I can't blame them. It definitely felt like they were getting more confident throughout the game. Yes. Especially after that one big team fight that they took. But you can see the aggression started pretty early. I mean, level 13 to 12, flexing that talent tier advantage on the side of Cloud9, really just chasing their opponents. They have this bottom fort down. They're moving deep in onto one of these bridges, which we often say are rather risky, and you see that playmaker. It moves Kashi down. They'll secure that kill in the back with K1 Pro. The rest of the team just pushes on in to get one more kill, 2-0 in that scenario. Yeah, really great wall there to be as a zoning tool from Dunk Train, but the turnaround and that chokehold, this was the first tempo swing ever in favor of Team Nam here, and they don't walk away with a major win, but definitely enough to make something happen. But again, with the boss here, Team Nam, if they actually pulled off a little bit, they would have been able to secure, not losing the game there, but Cloud9 and securing a couple kills and securing the game.
I'm just discussing hair with Arthalon because that seems to be the theme of this competition. Arthalon, this is not the first time you've been on this stage. This time, though, with a different team. How does this time feel?
I really like Cloud9 overall better. It's kind of why I switched over to their team. I'm really happy to be on it. I really love all my teammates, and there's like zero toxicity compared to my other teams. So it's been a very pleasant experience with them so far.
You guys seemed very comfortable in this last match. Did it go about as you expected?
Yeah, it went about as expected, except for that boss fight at Sky Temple. But other than that, it was pretty good.
Casters, were there any surprises for you? Did this go about as you thought it might?
Well, I mean, Playmaker, obviously not a common pick in general. We've seen Avatar for so long. Can you speak for King Caffeine in this situation to say that it is like preferred over Avatar?
Haymaker helps Caffeine solo kill people, so he generally prefers that because he likes just killing people as Mirrodin, as a tank, which is weird.
Well, I mean, who doesn't really?
I know.
What about you, Dread? Anything?
Not really. I feel like they played their comp really well. Do you feel like a lot of the teams don't prioritize Sonya well enough compared to you and maybe Naventus? Or Naventic, excuse me.
I'm not really sure how Sonya is prioritized so far. Like, we'll see when, you know, the best teams here compete, how high Sonya is prioritized. I think she's still really strong, and she'll show that.
Speaking of the best teams competing, you are now going to move on into the winner's bracket, and you're looking to grab that semifinal spot. And how confident are you that you guys are going to be able to defend that world title?
I think we'll be able to defend it pretty well this weekend. But I think most all, we're just worried about going to Korea first, and then after that, we'll worry about first or second place.
Well, that sounds awesome. Good luck to you. Thank you very much. Also, really awesome gloves. I'm kind of jealous. I think I might get some of those. Guys, that concludes this match, but don't worry, we still have more to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.